Okay, there's more and more facts that cannot be reported to the next highest level. So at the very top of the pyramid, there's the people who have all the power and don't know anything except what suits their prejudices, because nobody dares to tell them anything they don't want to hear. Meanwhile, those at the bottom of the pyramid have this burden of nescience where they're not supposed to know, think, feel, sense, or in any way make any decisions of their own. They're the ones who are actually running all the machinery and the boats and the factories and everything. And I realized that's why the snafu was coined in the army. The army is the most rigidified form of this type of authoritarian structure. Nobody who makes any decisions knows anything about what's actually going on, where the decisions are being carried out, which is why the word snafu was coined in the army. Situation normal, all fucked up. Well, that's the normal situation in any authoritarian pyramid, which is another reason why power corrupts. It's not just that power brings out the worst in people, but it's that when the higher you get, the less you find out about what you're actually supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be governing something, but you can't find out what it is that you're governing. There was an actual case in the Carter regime where a guy predicted when they were holding the hostages in Iran, there was this attempted rescue mission which got all botched up. There was one guy in the Carter administration who opposed that and said it couldn't work, and explained on military and technological grounds why it was going to be a fiasco. And then they tried it anyway, and it was a fiasco. And guess who got fired? He did. Jimmy Carter just couldn't stand having somebody on his staff who had been proven to be smarter than he was about just one issue, not about everything in general. Jimmy Carter was a pretty smart guy for a president. But just one issue. This guy who was right when Carter was wrong was more than Carter could stand, so he had to leave the government. And so more and more the people at the top don't know anything about what they're supposed to be controlling.
So you said that modern Americans don't trust the government almost at all. How well do they trust the media?
Well, according to an article in the Christian Science Monitor a couple of years ago, it's pretty much around the same level as distrust of the government. It's around 3 out of 4 Americans don't trust the corporate media anymore. And of course, nobody trusts internet, not even the people who use it. All we know about internet is that you get any opinion you want, and then you're going to have to research a lot of craziness before you find any accurate data. But that's all to the good, because that's the way the universe is constructed anyway. If it wasn't for Aristotle, perhaps we all would have grown up sane, realizing that we're always gambling and we're never sure of anything. And that would make us all a lot more tentative and a lot more careful, and we do a lot less stupid things. But Aristotle created this true-false dichotomy, and everybody immediately decided that what they want to believe is true and what the people they don't like want to believe is false, and we've been at war with each other ever since. How's that for a gross oversimplification? Well, I think it's partly true anyway. We're gambling all the time. Nobody has a guarantee that they have the truth.
Do you think that we're now drifting towards a situation that resembles something out of the art of Kafka or Orwell?
I think we've gone beyond Kafka and Orwell. Neither Kafka nor Orwell have ever invented anything like the piss police. That is so surrealistic. I would suspect Salvador Dali faked his death and took over the United States government if there wasn't so much evidence against that hypothesis. Imagine a country built on the idea of individual liberty where you can't hold a job without giving a urine sample at random intervals under a constitution that prohibits random searches. You got to go before a magistrate and prove evidence you think that a crime has been committed and why you think so. A cop has to fill out a form and show what crime he thinks was committed, why he thinks this guy committed it, why he thinks evidence might be found in that place. That's the traditional constitutional system. We got random searches of our houses, random searches of our bladders, and people think this is a constitutional democracy. I say this is the czarist government, and anybody who can study history can see it. It has nothing in common with the U.S. Constitution and everything in common with the situation in 19th century Russia.
So back to conspiracy theory. What do you mean when you use the term conspiracy coincidence syndrome?
Actually, I forget where I first encountered that idea, but I was working for Playboy, and somebody submitted an article. I think I was the only editor who voted for publishing the article. And it was about this thing. This guy set out to investigate conspiracy theorists. And he investigated a variety of them, those who thought the Rockefellers ran the government, those who thought the Air Force was engaged in a cover-up of the UFOs, and I forget what others, about 3 others. He found all of them had real incidents that they could demonstrate to his conviction that they weren't making it up, that they had been persecuted, which helped prove that their conspiracy theory must be true, or why would they be persecuted? And I began to think, well, I don't exactly believe in psychokinesis, but I do believe that we program what happens to us a lot more than we're consciously aware of. And it occurred to me that if people who believe widely conflicting conspiracy theories get equally persecuted, they're bringing the persecution down on themselves in some way they don't understand. And that led me into the whole concept of coincidence and synchronicity, and some of it is pretty damn weird. You can't explain it in any rational terms. Well, take Mae Brussel. Her daughter got killed in a car accident. She thought the CIA did that. Now, my attitude is so many kids get killed in car accidents that to immediately jump to the conclusion the CIA did it is kind of premature. And if the CIA wanted to shut Mae Brussel up, the obvious thing to do would be to kill her, not her daughter. But then you find things that are really weird, like Kerry Thornley, who believed he was brainwashed by the CIA and was part of the Kennedy assassination, but he couldn't remember all the details. He got held up in his own apartment by a guy who, after pistol whipping him and taking a stereo and a television and a few other things he carted away, he took Kerry's ID with him, too. Now, why did he steal Kerry Thornley's ID? Maybe that's another coincidence, like Mae Brussel's daughter being hit by a car. And the more you look into it, the more mysterious it gets. John Lilly, Dr. John Lilly, who has a background in more sciences than just about anybody I can think of, he has coined the metaphor. He insists it's a metaphor because he doesn't want to be known as a nut. I also call it a metaphor because I still have some faint hope that I won't be known as a nut. Cosmic Coincidence Control Center, CCCC. It does seem like Cosmic Coincidence Control Center pays special attention to people who pay special attention to it. The more coincidences you look for, the more you find. And the more you look for coincidences, the more you find the really weird ones that seem like synchronicities. As, for example, the 23 theme that runs through several of my books. I was giving a lecture in St. Louis. Guy came up after the lecture with his wife, chatted with me a bit and said, I know how your 23 gimmick